Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Joe, and these are 10 pretty good movies you can watch instantly on Netflix. The list for these movies are in the description, so if you want to check any of them out, go down there. Let's start with number 1, Equilibrium. In a dystopian future where emotion has been done away with in favor of a serious, bland, gray-paleted world, a peacekeeper, Christian Bale, he's tasked in making sure that no art, no emotion, none of this happens. Everyone in this movie takes medicine to subdue their emotions in order for the peace to be preserved. But pretty much what this movie is about is after his partner Sean Bean, you know him from Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, he decides that he's going to stop taking his medication. He starts to discover reading and all the things from our times, like emotion, like art, all that fun stuff. He eventually stops taking his medicine and discovers a world that's just pretty much ruthless and a terrible place to be. This movie looked like a traditional cheesy action film, but it actually had something more to it, which I was really surprised with when I first watched it. There's really cool action scenes. There's a couple of really original scenes that I really liked, and there's some ninja swords, if you know, I know if you're into that. But anyway, I suggest watching this if you like action movies, you like Christian Bale, or you like, you know, kind of like dystopian future movies. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's move on to our number 2 movie, Lost in Translation. And I'm kind of hoping most of you have seen this movie. It stars Bill Murray, which I love Bill Murray. Everyone loves Bill Murray. And Scarlett Johansson. They're pretty much two people who have gone to Tokyo. One's living there, one's just there on, you know, a visit. And they meet each other in a world that no one speaks their language, and they don't speak their language. They're lost in translation, if you will. It's really good. It's kind of like a romantic comedy, but not really. It's, you know, it's Bill Murray, so you know it's going to be great. Moving on to number 3, Trainspotting. Now, this movie is directed by Danny Boyle. I'm sure most of you have seen some of his works, Slumdog Millionaire, 127 Hours. You know, that's just scratching the surface. But I was really happy with this movie. Just watched it for the first time 2 weeks ago. My friend had told me that I should watch it for, you know, years now. And I finally went and watched it, and I thought it was a great movie. It's about these young English lads who, you know, are jobless, and they're just trying to work their way up. You know, it's a traditional English, you know, 90s movie with the screaming and kind of punk rock, you know, oi, oi, oi. But yeah, I really love this movie. I couldn't have been happier with it. It's a great movie. Check it out. The next movie on my list is Lars and the Real Girl. This movie is pretty much about the main character, played by Ryan Gosling, orders a sex doll one day because, you know, he's never had a girlfriend. He's pretty much an awkward dude, but he's a good dude. He's a nice dude. And he orders a sex doll. His brother and, you know, his sister-in-law are shocked. You know, he's carrying around a sex doll everywhere. He's pretending like it's his wife. He's talking to it. And then the town comes together and accepts, you know, Lars because they know how good of a dude he is, and his new wife. I strongly suggest watching this movie. You're not going to really find anything else like this. It was a pretty original idea. It was shot really well. It was emotional. It made you cry a little bit at the end. It didn't make you cry, but, you know, you felt emotion towards it. I strongly suggest watching it. The next movie on our list is The Evil Dead. Now, this is the movie that spawned the legend of Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell is just the coolest dude ever, and this is where he came from, The Evil Dead. This was back in the 80s, before that new one that just came out. But if you have seen the new one, there's a lot of things you're going to catch on if you watch the old ones. Now, The Evil Dead is one of my favorite franchises. The Army of Darkness, oh my gosh, that was like one of my favorite movies. But if you like The Army of Darkness, and you know what I'm talking about, I'm hoping you know what I'm talking about. The Evil Dead is not really so much like that. It's the same, you know, Bruce Campbell, you know, you got him. But there's no chainsaw arm. What you're going to get from it is that it's a lot more scary. It's a lot more trying to be a horror movie, but it still doesn't shy away from the Bruce Campbell charm, if you know what I'm talking about. The next movie on our list is The Way, and this stars Martin Sheen. And if you've ever seen The West Wing, you know how good of an actor Martin Sheen is. I love Martin Sheen. I think he's a pretty cool dude. But pretty much what this movie is about is that after his son dies on hiking this legendary trail in France, Martin Sheen's character decides that he's going to scatter his son's ashes all along this trail, and he meets all sorts of people, you know, that kind of like journey thing where he meets people, discovers stuff about them. But it's really good. It's kind of like, it stars a bunch of older people, so it's not like, you know, crazy teen movie like Euro Trip, I guess. But I originally found this movie after I was looking for kind of like a backpacking movie, and if you like that kind of travel, you know, just being out in the wilderness kind of movie, like Into the Wild almost, I think you're going to like this movie. I really liked it. It's not, you know, 5-star material, but I gave it a 4 on Netflix, so I really liked this movie for what it was. Ah yes, Clerks. Seems like everyone is either one way or the other on Clerks. It's either you hate Kevin Smith or you pretty much love Kevin Smith. To me, I love Kevin Smith. I think his writing is great. His dialogue in this movie is fantastic. It's one of those cult classic movies where you're going to be repeating a lot of the lines, like the shoe polish thing, if you've ever heard of that. That comes from this. But anyway, I love this movie. If you've ever seen Clerks 2, I thought Clerks 1 was a lot better. I saw Clerks 2 first when I watched Clerks. Like, this was a couple months ago. But yeah, Clerks, give it a watch. It's really good. It's really funny. It's, you know, it's a little slow, but I loved it. I honestly did, and I think if you're any sort of independent comedy person, you're gonna like this movie. 1 week, the story of a guy who finds out he gets cancer, leaves his fiancée, and goes on a road trip on a motorcycle across the Canadian countryside. Now, if you're like me, you felt cooped up in your house. You just want to go outside and drive and go see the world just for a little bit, just to get outside your house. That's pretty much what this is about, except it's a little more larger scale. He goes across the country. He just wants to go away for a while. And I completely understand that. I can see where he's coming from. And I really kind of felt like I could relate to Mr. Joshua Jackson, who stars in this movie, who I think is a really good actor. I strongly suggest giving this a watch. It's kind of a romantic movie, but not really. I mean, he leaves his fiancée, and you can imagine what happens with that. Give it a watch. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Now, slipping a little bit more into that romantic independent comedy movie, we have Dakota Skye. This movie is about a young high schooler who has the power to see when people are lying and what they actually mean to say. Now, from an outsider looking in, you might look at this movie, think, oh, it's another romantic high school dramedy, comedy, whatever you want to call it. But no, I really like this movie. This was actually, if you can believe it, the first really independent movie I really watched and really enjoyed. Back 4 years ago or something when it first came to Netflix. It's been on here a while. So I strongly recommend watching this. It really pulls on the heartstrings, if you know what I mean. You might get a little tear somewhere in there. It has some, good dialogue, has good shots, cinematography. I really like this movie, so give it a watch. I know I keep saying that, just give it a watch. But seriously, all these are good movies, and I strongly suggest you watch all of them. In the beginning, there was Christian Bale, and at the end, there was Christian Bale. We end with The Machinist, a movie about Trevor Resnick, who hasn't slept in a year, can't decide whether the things he is seeing are real or if they're not real, and they're just in his head. If you like psychological movies, you're going to love this movie. If you love thinking about your movies, you're going to love this movie. And like I said, in pretty much all of those other 10 movies, give this movie a watch. If you guys are like me, I'm always looking for a good Netflix video to watch, so if you guys enjoyed this, maybe subscribe. I make these about once a month. Give me a like if you liked it. Put any movies that you guys like in the comments that you think others should watch, and we can start a little community of Netflix video recommendations. Hey, my name is Joe. That is everything. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.